Hi everyone, I'm Mike from Hummingbot, and I want to make this video to show you the new decentralized exchange connector system gateway that's in the new 1.4 version of Hummingbot over here. And I want to show you how to use it to arbitrage between a decentralized exchange like Uniswap or Pangolin and a centralized exchange like Binance or FTX. So let's get started. So this is the new 1.4 version of Hummingbot that has the new gateway component that connects to decentralized exchanges. Now, we've been working on Gateway for a while, and before I start, let me explain how it works. So basically, Gateway is a new module that lets developers from various decentralized exchanges and other blockchain projects add connectors to their own exchange. Because blockchain-based exchanges work very differently from normal exchanges, traditionally, traders have had difficulty, running bots that do something on a DEX and something on a centralized exchange. But with Gateway, we've tried to standardize the interfaces and allows developers from various exchanges themselves to add their own connectors in. So initially, we support Uniswap on the Ethereum blockchain and Pangolin on the Avalanche blockchain. But because Pangolin is very similar to Uniswap and Avalanche is basically EVM compatible chain, we've created those as templates that allows everyone to add their own connectors to other DEXs that are similar to Pangolin or Uniswap and other models. And we want to continue that model going forward. We'll create templates. We'll kind of get the community to create templates for various exchanges, and then based on those templates, other people can add connectors for their own exchanges as well. And then we have strategies like AMM Arb that basically can basically do something on a DEX and do something on a centralized exchange as well. So AMM Arb is a strategy that allows you to basically arbitrage between two different markets, buying low on one exchange and selling higher on another exchange to try to find arbitrage opportunities. So let's get started. I'll show you how that strategy works. So let's use the create command in Hummingbot. That creates a new bot for you. So we're going to use the AMM Arb strategy. And for this first exchange, let's test this out first, because you never want to just dive in and start trading with real money. So let's test it out on testnet on the Uniswap side. So I'm going to pick Uniswap Ethereum Robston, which is the Uniswap version on the Robston testnet. And then for that trading pair, I'll pick I think I'll pick WETH DAI, because I know I have some WETH and I have some DAI in that wallet. And then for the second connector, I'll select let's see, so I'll do let's do Binance paper, and so this allows us to trade on a paper trading based exchange like Binance paper without risking real money. And this is just to show you some real arbitrage opportunities, because in reality they're hard to find, but we'll definitely find some if we're trading against a testnet and it says like this. Okay, so let's do let's see, ETH USDT on Binance. So how much WETH per order? Let's just go with 0.1, just since it's paper trading. And then this question, what is the minimum profitability for you to make a trade? This question defines how much profit you want to actually do before making a trade. So let's just do 1%. This question is a slippage buffer. So the idea is that when you detect a trade, you may not you may want to kind of execute that right away. So you may want to add a bit of buffer in there as well. So let's just go with 1% here, and then no buffer on the other side. And finally, the question is, do you want to submit both arbitrage orders concurrently, or do you want to wait for one to finish before doing another? You may want to do them sequentially if you're concerned that one trade might fail before doing the other one in the case of a DEX. But in this case, let's just for simplicity sake, let's just do them concurrently. And finally, at what time should transactions be canceled if they're not included in a block? So let's go with 600 here. And finally, we can save our configuration under, let's see, new strat. All right, so before we start the bot, it's always a good idea to run the config command to see what your configurations actually are. So we have some global parameters up here, and we can see that we are indeed running the AMM Arb strategy on Uniswap Robston versus Binance paper trade, and we're trading these two pairs with this 0.1 order amount. So let's start the bot. So the first thing it's going to do is do some checks. This confirms that you've actually instantiated the connector, kind of already on both sides. The first time you would have done this with Gateway, it would have asked you some questions like which wallet do you want to use, which inferior node you want to use, and I've already done that. So because of that, it can run successfully. So let's answer yes. And now Hummingbot is now going to connect to these different markets, Uniswap via the Gateway module and Binance as well. And so because this is a paper trading market, you can see that the prices aren't really realistic. It's going to find arbitrage opportunity all the time, but you can see that because the Robson prices are not accurate, it thinks there's a huge arbitrage opportunity on Robson, and it's going to basically do this trade every few seconds because it thinks it's continually going to find an arbitrage opportunity. So it did one here, and so I would expect another one to be done in a few minutes after the cooldown ends. So that's basically the AMM Arb strategy in Robson. So let's stop this so it's not going to do more trades, paper trades, and let's actually look at how this strategy would run if you ran it on a real exchange. So you can use the import command to pull up your previous strategies. So for example, here's this one that we saved earlier, newbot.yaml. But I've also saved some previous strategies here as well. So here's a strategy created earlier today for AMM Arb that's actual mainnet on mainnet. So if we look at the configuration for that strategy, we can see that it's doing AMM Arb via on the Pangolin exchange on Avalanche versus the FTX exchange, both in the Avalanche to stablecoin pair. I'm using wrapped Avalanche to USDC on Pangolin, and on FTX I'm using AVAX to Tether. One Avalanche, one AVAX token is the order amount, and so let's and again I've noticed I set the min profitability and negative 0.1 here. Basically, I just wanted this thing to make a trade if it's at all profitable, or even if it's slightly negative. So the start command, same thing happens. The thing that happened is going to check to make sure I have balance of assets in the wallet. So I do indeed have some USDC, some wrapped Avalanche, as well as some Avalanche itself to pay for the gas. So I can continue, and now it's going to it's now going to instantiate connections to both Avalanche as well as FTX. And look, it did an arbitrage opportunity. Wow. Let's see what happened there. Oh, okay. So it did actually do an ARB. Okay, there's an error now. Okay, interesting. The swap price. Interesting. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's actually look at this trade to see if it actually did an ARB or not. So, okay. Let's see. So we placed a buy order. Let's see. We bought on Avalanche, and for a price of 27.75, and then it looks like we were sold an Avalanche for 27.8. But I think what happened was because of the rate conversion, it did result in a slight positive profit. So that's probably why I didn't trade. So and then you can also use a history command to tell you what happened, and you can see what happened here. Okay. Well, so Yeah, so there actually may be a bug or two here we need to fix. Obviously, some errors here, but I think you can see the hopefully you can see the potential of this, because it's not just with Pangolin or Avalanche. Because of how we done the code, any decentralized exchange can easily add their connector in Hummingbot, and now people can run the strategy between any centralized exchange and any other decentralized exchange. So our hope is that Hummingbot, because it's open source, it will become a public good that bridges both the centralized exchanges and the decentralized exchanges, and something that